Welcome to the Kaleidoscope, Healthcare in a Diverse America, from molecule to market, with your host, Sheila Thorne. Each episode highlights healthcare leaders and patients of color to discuss culturally, linguistically appropriate strategies and services. You can find this show on all major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, SheilaThorne.com. Now here's the host of the Kaleidoscope, Sheila Thorne.
Hello, it is a welcome to Kaleidoscope and our episode today on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But first, let me say something about diversity, equity, and inclusion. These programs are under withering attack all across the country. There are more than a dozen universities that have either restricted DEI programs or outrightly banned them. That's dangerous, and it's certainly dangerous for healthcare. Because unless we have diversity, equity, and inclusion in healthcare from molecule to market, we don't have good science. And clearly, when you look at the burgeoning racial and ethnically diverse populations in America, this is no longer just something nice to do. This is a mandate. This is something we must do. And certainly when you talk about diseases like breast cancer, it is an absolute imperative. Here's why. Black women are 41% more likely to die of breast cancer than white women. Black women with breast cancer have a 71% higher relative risk of death compared to white women. Black women have a 31% breast cancer mortality rate, the highest of any U.S. racial or ethnic group. Black women are diagnosed with de novo metastatic breast cancer at a 58% higher rate than white women. Black breast cancer patients still have the lowest 5-year survival rate of any race or ethnicity. Overall, 5-year relative survival rates are 81% for Black women versus 91% for white women. Black women are just as likely to have hereditary breast cancer mutations as white women, yet their participation in genetic counseling and testing is substantially lower. Black women have denser breasts than white women. Having dense breasts increases your risk of developing breast cancer up to 6-fold, and regular mammograms struggle to pick up breast cancer in dense breasts. Black breast cancer survivors have a 39% higher risk of breast cancer recurrence. I'm tired of reading these statistics every year. And even during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you rarely see these statistics come to the fore. Well, what progress have we made? Where are we today? What's the prognosis for the future in diminishing breast cancer in African American women? Well, it's my pleasure and my honor to bring to you someone who has definitely not suppressed diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to breast cancer. And her name is Ricki Fairley. Ricki, come on.
Hey, it's so great to be here with you.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Ricki. Ricki and I met, interestingly enough, it was not on a breast cancer project. We were doing a program for Pfizer.
Right.
And when I heard her and I saw her and I felt her passion and her energy, and when I found out about Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, I knew that I had to have her on my show for this month. But here's something interesting. She is not only the CEO and founder of the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, but she is a survivor. She was diagnosed in 2011 with triple negative breast cancer, and it had moved to her chest wall, and her doctor told her to go home and prepare to die. She had a prognosis for less than 2 years. And here we are in 2024, and Ricki's still here.
13 years, Sheila. 13
so tell
years.
Me, what happened? When the doctor told you that, what did you do?
Well, you know what? I said, I can't really die right now. And I went to Dr. Google to advocate for myself and get help. And I found the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. I'm still on their board. And my dear friend Haley Dinnerman found me a doctor in Atlanta who where I lived at the time, and she was probably one of about 5 docs who were actually researching triple negative breast cancer. which Black women get at 3 times the rate, and we still don't know why. But I found a doc, and she put me on some drugs that were experimental. Then she was doing a clinical trial for 2 drugs, and she kind of gave me the trial drugs, and I took a lot more chemo, and I didn't die.
Wow.
And, and my motivation was, my daughter was a sophomore at Dartmouth. I had to pay tuition. So I'm like,
two daughters, don't you have 2 daughters?
I had 2 Dartmouth daughters, and 3 grandbabies to go on the way. They got the T-shirts. So
nice.
I was up there in no, I just had to fight for myself, though. I had to go advocate for myself, and thank God I had the wherewithal to do that. And we see so many women who don't, and I know so many women who had what I had and didn't make it. And so,
well, you know something, you were a very successful marketing executive. You worked for Coca-Cola, didn't you?
I did. I ran marketing for Coca-Cola.
And so you were the perfect person to set up a company, to set up an organization. Branding, marketing, outreach. But this time it was for you.
It was for me.
So tell me, what is this triple negative breast cancer? You don't hear much about that.
Yes. So it's about 10 to 15% of breast cancers. However, 30% of Black breast cancer is triple negative breast cancer. So Black women are getting it more. But so basically there are several subtypes, but it's kind of, if you think about a cancer cell, and there's like a little hole in the cell where the medicine goes in. Okay. So one is based on estrogen, one is based on progesterone, and one is based on an enzyme called HER2. If you don't have any of those cells with holes in them, it's called triple negative. So basically it's really hard to treat. And it comes back very readily. It's very aggressive. It has the highest mortality rate, and it's the most aggressive breast cancer. We don't know why Black women are getting it at the rate that we are. We are now finding some information. We're doing some studies in Africa, in Ghana and Nigeria, where we are seeing a gene in Africa that could be causing triple negative in Black women that we don't
really.
Yeah. So there's a lot of science happening now around TNBC, and now we have 2 drugs. One of them is for immunotherapy. One of them is only for late stage, for metastatic triple negative, and one is for early stage, Keytruda, which has kind of been a miracle drug in the immunotherapy arena for lung and for a bunch of other cancers. But other than that, we don't really have a targeted therapy. And most breast cancers have many drugs that you can take. So it's still very fatal. The other horrible thing about it is 40% of TNBC patients are under 40.
Well, I was going to get to that, Ricki, because I've been hearing more and more about that with Black women as young as 30 getting breast cancer.
Yeah. So actually, Black women under 35 get breast cancer at twice the rate of white women and die at 3 times the rate. Black women under 50 have a 50% higher mortality rate than white women.
So do the mammogram guidance rules apply to us? No, we've got to start early.
Yeah, if you read the guidelines for mammograms from the U.S. Preventative Task Force, they basically say, we don't really have guidelines for Black women. We don't have enough research to say that whether this works for them or not, that they should probably get tested younger. So we talk about risk assessment.
Yes.
Before you even get to screening, which is what mammograms are all about, we talk about your risk assessment, knowing your story. And we encourage every Black woman to do a risk assessment at age 25, Sheila, or before.
25, wow.
If you have a family history, you need to be doing it when you're in high school. You need to be knowing about your breasts and be in the conversation with your mama and your grandmama and your auntie and whoever had it, or your father. It could come from your dad. So at a risk assessment, they basically will do genetic testing. Now, genetic breast cancer is only 5%. So only 5. No, it's not that big for Black women, because guess what? The genetic testing was made on white bodies.
Well, there you go.
We don't even know what the genes are for Black women, right? So that's why having a family history is really more important even than genetic testing for Black women. So my oldest daughter, Amanda, she's the one with the 3 babies, my 3 grandbabies. She just had a prophylactic mastectomy in February.
Really?
She had her 3 babies. She was done. Age 38, she watched 2 of her friends get breast cancer and have to deal with it. And she said, I'm done. She cut her boobs off. So
good for her.
But that's because we went through hoops. We knew what to do. We knew who to call.
Yes.
It was like hell to even get her a mammogram.
I'm sure.
And we did everything we had to do to make it happen. but most women don't have the resources that we had to do it. The crazy fights for you, right? So, but we really talk about knowing your her story.
Yes.
Sit down, and we have a great tool for that on one of our websites, For the Love of My Girls.
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. And it's a cool video, but we have a tool, a worksheet. So you could sit down with your grandma on both sides who may not want to talk about it. They probably don't. And force the conversation about, okay, who died of what, who had what. And it's really for all the Black diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, all the things, we get. So we get everything worse. So, but we need to be having those conversations in our households. And when people are young, I started this thing about, oh my gosh, probably like 8 years ago now. I cook Thanksgiving dinner since my mom stopped cooking. And so you want to eat my food, so we all stand in a circle. Everybody goes around talking about what they're thankful for. But I'm like, okay, what's your A1C? What's your PSA?
Excellent.
What's your last mammogram? I make everybody, what's your blood pressure? Tell all the things.
Excellent.
And they hated me at first, but I don't care. And so now it's like, Ricky's going to ask us this stuff. But excellent. I force the conversation in my family to talk about it because, Black families, we just don't talk about it until.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Why is this stigma? I mean, I know you talk about bringing it to the kitchen table. What? Come on. What is the reason for that?
I don't know. It's when Uncle Pookie gets his leg amputated. Oh, well, how'd that happen? Right?
Yeah.
Now, grandma's in hospice. We don't do it until crisis. And a lot of it is, I don't want anybody to know my business. For women, it's like, I don't want my family to be afraid because I can't take care of them because I'm a single mom, whatever it is. But there's this whole thing about that. And actually I did on my show last night, I had this awesome guy on who has an organization called Black Men Can. And I was saying, how come Black men don't go to the doctor? Like, what's up? And he gave me a really great aha, Sheila. And it was that a Black man never has to make a doctor appointment.
That's right.
Right. So think about it. All through childhood, their mom is making the appointments. They go to college. They don't have any unless they get hurt in sports. And then the sports people make the appointment. And then they go out into the world and they don't have to. Whereas women.
That's really true.
Right. We start making appointments when we start getting birth control. Whatever,
exactly.
Parenthood, whatever. But so Black men just grow up in this environment where they don't have to make a doctor's appointment, so it's not in their heads. I thought that was really brilliant.
It is brilliant. It is. Yes.
Try to think about it that way. And then the fear sets in, but it's because they've never had the behavior of having to go. Whereas women, we go every year.
We go every year and take care of the whole family.
Take care of the whole family. Take care of the whole family. We're the CEO of the household, right? The medical CEO.
Exactly.
But still, our Black families, we need to talk. And this year we've done 110 events around the country. 110
in this month?
In this year. Since
this year, I got you.
Crazy, right? We've been all over. I haven't slept in my bed all that much, but and neither has my daughter.
I can imagine.
Who was my boss, but the level of health illiteracy in our Black community is just horrifying. And Haley hates when I use the words health illiteracy because it seems like we're blaming the patient, and we're not. But people just don't know. And we talk a lot about clinical trials. We talk a lot about risk assessment. And how would you know what a clinical trial is unless somebody told you?
That's exactly right.
And doctors aren't inviting us. And
they are not. That's right.
How would you know? How would you know there's no sugar pill in a candy?
That's exactly right. That's exactly
unless you're told. And so what we're learning is that there's just a very low level understanding. And if your families aren't talking about it, if your doctors aren't talking about it, you're sort of hung out to dry and you get cancer and you're in the dark. Like, close your eyes, you're in the dark. You are.
So it's just like a death sentence to you.
You don't go beyond. You don't know. And so that's what we do. We pull women out of the dark. We turn a light on. We grab a hand. We drag them into the light because they need to know, and we educate them. And, I can't change racism. So there was a study that came out in the New York Times on October 1st. So October 1st is Breast Cancer Month, and they pulled the article off of a study from Mass General. And they said, gosh, the reason why Black women are dying of breast cancer is because of racism. And I'm like, who wasted their time and money on that? Can I say shit on your show? I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Like, what a waste of energy. Of course it is. And you know what? I can't change that. Racism.
You cannot. Yeah.
It's here. We're seeing it now with all this election craziness, but it's here. So figure it out. There's way more about that than that, right? And I can't change a racist white 50-year-old oncologist. But what I can do is educate my sisters.
Amen.
And I educate Black women, and I can tell them what they need to know and help them demand the care they deserve. And that's what we do every day. It's like, this is what you need to know. And you go ask that doctor, is this how you treat your mama, your auntie, your grandma? If it's not how you treat your family, then it's not good enough for me. And that's what we do every day.
Well, it's funny, Ricki, you say that, because I was thinking about the Hippocratic Oath that doctors are supposedly adhere to taking when they graduate from medical school. First, do no harm. Treat patients the way you would like to be treated. And all of those euphemisms that we now have become familiar with, but are not reality in terms of systemic, institutional, and structural racism. And you're so right. We've got to be empowered in order to take charge.
You got to go ask for
health. That's right.
You got to go ask for that golden rule, standard of care.
That's exactly right.
You got to go ask for it. You got to demand it, and so that's what we do. But you bring up the screening guidelines. So
yes,
they're not right. They're not in our favor.
No, they're not. They're certainly not culturally competent.
No, they're not. And so another policy kind of thing just happened recently, where the FDA they've been doing it for 2 years, but it kind of went into place officially, like at the end of September, was mandating that pharma companies develop these diversity plans for the clinical trials, right?
Yes.
So it's a crock. Now, why is it a crock? Because first of all, pharma, and I'm so grateful for my pharma partners. They've given me, I feel very blessed. They've given me a seat at the table, and I scream and yell all the time.
I know you do.
and yell at somebody every day. But so I'm so blessed to have them as partners, but they don't know how to do it.
They have no idea.
I have no idea. I'm working on three different pharma companies right now, helping them write plans for these specific trials.
They do the same thing. You know that. I'm in the same boat with you.
And then guess what? The FDA doesn't have any metrics to even measure the effectiveness.
Accountability. That's right.
That's right. The FDA gets the plans. They don't know what this means.
That's exactly right.
How are you going to measure it? Well, we don't really know, Ricki. We're trying to figure it out, but we got to start somewhere. But the biggest issue of all is that the plans are for phase 3 trials.
They're not for phase 1 and 2. You're absolutely right. Phase 3 is too late.
They're in the birth canal. The drug is in the birth canal, and it's too late. It's too late.
That's
Unless
right.
our bodies are, and a phase 1 trial could be 10 people small.
Correct.
Phase 2 trial could be 50 people.
50 people, right.
The percentage of Black people in those trials should be commensurate with the burden of disease.
Absolutely.
So if we're talking about a drug for triple negative breast cancer,
yes.
It needs to I'm not trying to do that math, but those numbers need to be reflected there.
Absolutely.
Phase 1, because phase 1 is for safety. Phase 2 is for dosage and safety and efficacy.
Correct.
Phase 3, you're cooked.
It's effective. Exactly. It's going to be on the market. That's exactly right. Exactly.
So, and you're testing it now on thousands of bodies, and still we're getting 3%, if that.
Well, you see, I think part of the challenge, obviously, is that they want to do something. Their intentions are good, but they're tactically challenged. They don't understand our community, and they resort to diversity training, which is not the role. You need diversity education. You need to know why we act the way we do, how to overcome the barriers. And although they do put in their plan guidance, you have to have money for childcare. You have to have money for transportation. That's all there. Yeah, but these companies don't know how to connect with community groups. They don't know how to collaborate to do that.
They don't. And you know what? We've done it successfully now.
I know you have.
A couple of companies, and I say I'm most proud of we just closed the recruiting for a child that we're doing with Genentech. It's called Avera. If you go to averabreaststudy.com, you can see the website we helped them build. Mm-hmm. And if you go on the website, there's no people. It's all like drawings of women with curly hair. So are they Black? Are they what color are they? But they have different variations of curly hair. Yeah. Got all the big words people can't spell. Probably any copy on the pages. And then we provide nurse navigation in the process. We help them recruit, and then we provide a navigator who's Black, who's a breastie. She's a survivor, and we have 24/7 care.
Outstanding.
So when the cancer center closes at 5, they can call our Val.
Oh, my God.
So when we started with them 2 years ago, they had 2% Black women in the trial. We just closed the trial at 12%.
Awesome. And you've got 13.5% of the Black population. Yes. So you're getting to the right numbers for sure.
We're getting there.
Wow.
And that was a test for them. So now, okay, bring it. So now we're doing it, and we're doing it with more and more companies. But we're finding that the real key is the navigation.
The navigation is key. The constant support, the ongoing support through the whole process.
Yes, it's the whole process, and the whole family gets the benefit of it.
That's right.
she's explaining the informed consent to the husband, to the mom,
Yes.
to the auntie, right?
Yes.
But also, they go home from the cancer center after chemo, cancer center, they eat dinner, and now it's 8:00, and they're like, the husband's like, well, what about the whatever?
Yes.
And
Yes.
instead of having to wait, they can call Val.
They can pick up the phone. That's exactly right.
Call Val, and we have and then she helps them find resources in their city, wherever they are. You sound like you need a Whole Foods. Let me find it in your neighborhood.
There you go.
And that's just working. So actually, we've had so much success.
That's
with
a model.
It's a model. And now, so for the month of October, we've decided to open it up to everybody, not just
fantastic.
Clinical. And so we're partnering with an org called Unite for Her, and they provide integrative care services. So Reiki, yoga, $2,000 worth of services. They give passports. So they get this passport for 6 months. They get 6 months of nurse navigation for free.
That's amazing.
We raised the funding to do it for 100 people, and we're just going to pilot it in Philly, DC, and Durham. But we're being flooded. Love it.
Well, we need to talk more. I don't. You and I are always running. I'm sure we bumped into airports with each other, but we definitely are. I'm working on some phase 2 trials right now, and what you said, and it's not breast cancer, but it applies.
It applies. And you know what? Our When We trial works. Our discipline.
Yes.
We got the words right. We got the videos right.
Yes.
On whenwetrial.org, we've now signed up 20,032 Black women for clinical trial portals in the last 2 years.
Fantastic.
So we cracked the nut on the communication, and it works for any trial.
Absolutely. Any disease state, any condition. It's about community. It's about relationship.
Community. It's about educating with words they can spell from a voice of trust. The voice of a
Oh, there you go. That's the key to it.
The patient voice.
Ricki, tell me a little bit more about the genetic testing, because that's not something common in our community. Do you ask a doctor for it? How much does it cost, and what does it take?
It should be free. If you have cancer, you shouldn't have to pay for it. It should be covered by your insurance. And we're finding that most people aren't asked. Probably about 20 or 30% are asked by their doctor. So you have to ask yourself, and everybody should get it, because now we have this whole new sort of precision medicine thing happening.
Yeah, supposedly personalized medicine.
Yeah. But it should be, and it should be based on the biomarkers, which are little spots on your genes of your cancer cell. So they should be able to predict or basically dictate your treatment plan based on the biology of your cancer cell, which is called genomics, biomarkers. And that information is so critical to the treatment plan. You can really we can target medications to that. Except triple negative, we don't have that yet. But
I was going to ask you about that.
Most breast cancers, we can target it, and especially if you're metastatic. You need to know what your biomarkers are, because the treatments can be so targeted to what you need. And we're not seeing that in our community because we don't know. We don't know. We have a really good partner we work with. Her name is Laura Crandon, and she has been doing a lot of good stuff educating about genetics and genetics.
Well, let's back up a minute. When you were diagnosed, so they didn't find your triple negative breast cancer with the mammography. It was from your genetics, from the genetic research.
No. So it comes from your biopsy.
Your biopsy.
Your subtype is dictated by your biopsy, and then back then I got genetic testing, but I think when I got genetic testing, there were maybe 20 things you test for. Now the panel is way bigger, but still. The panel was made in Colorado.
Okay. Well, there you go. How many Black folks are in that state?
And also, Sheila, even a lot of the protocols that we have are on white women. Like one of the things that they will tell you, if you have early stage 0 or stage 1, get a lumpectomy. A lumpectomy plus radiation is equivalent to a double mastectomy. Well, that's done in Sweden.
Well, there you go.
These Black women just getting a lump taken out and then their breast cancer is back in a year or 2 years. It comes back and that's why we have that 39% higher recurrence rate, because you got to do all the things. And I'm not a doctor. I just play one on Facebook.
You play one all the time. You do it so well.
You got to do all the things. Our disease is different, and we now have this growing body of research that's validating that a Black breast cancer cell looks different. I was just at the AACR conference a few weeks ago, and I was looking at all these posters, and I had this one scientist that we work with a lot, Shiva Urshad. She's in London, and she showed me pictures of 2 breast cancer cells, a Black triple negative cell, a white triple negative cell. On the white cell, there are all these little dots on the cell, but they were all clumped in little circles. On the
Okay.
black cell, they're all spread out. Like there was
Really?
visual differences on these cells.
Wow.
We know that's happening across the board. And so we have to be more diligent. We just had a really breakthrough in prostate cancer.
Yes, we did.
With the immunotherapy. So
That's
they said they've been thinking immunotherapy doesn't work on prostate. Well, guess
That's
what?
right.
It didn't work on the white prostate, but it works on the black men. So
You
we lost 7 years of life
You
for black
see?
men. 7
Amazing.
years because I hadn't tested it. So we're now part of a cancer grand challenge with Melissa Davis. You know, so it's a big research study. Melissa's at Morehouse School of Medicine, and it's a 5-year study, $25 million global study. We're studying prostate, breast, and pancreatic. Why the studies are different in the U.S., the UK, Canada, Nigeria, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Kenya.
Is that the Cancer Grand Challenge that I've been reading about? Okay. And Touch is a part of that. Your organization.
Yes.
Congratulations. Excellent.
It's the first time that a Black woman has gotten this grant. Melissa Davis, she's amazing.
Wow.
And it's the first time they've ever incorporated patient advocacy, a group like us, in the science. And so we're playing a role, basically taking care of patients, what we do all the time, educating, taking care of patients, explaining the study to them, and being a part of it. But it's the first time they've ever put a patient advocacy team into the science.
Amazing.
It's pretty cool. It's 5 years old. Pretty amazing that Melissa is just brilliant, and I know we're going to uncover some things that are going to change the world.
It sounds like it. Well, tell us about Touch in our last few minutes and what we can do to support what you do, your organization, and what you see as the future.
So, the future to me is I want to put myself out of a job. I don't want this anymore. This is my bad job, but I want it to be over. I don't want my grandbabies to ever think about this stuff.
That's right.
And in a lot of ways, a lot of white people are making cancer, breast cancer kind of a chronic disease. I don't even want it to be a chronic disease.
No.
I want it to go away. But we need more science. We need more Black science. And so that's what we work towards, advancing science for Black breast cancer. And so really it just takes money, and it also takes just being a pain in the ass, which is what I do.
Well, I don't call you a pain in the ass. I call you a badass.
But I have to, being supportive of our efforts. And, we have 3 websites, touchpbca.org, whenwetrial.org, that educates about trials. And we know those videos are working for people. And then Love of My Girl, spelled GURLs.org. Yes. And naturally for young women who aren't sick, and we have 4 web shows now. The doctor is in every Wednesday. We have Pink People Talk every month. At the last Sunday of the month, Haley does that. My daughter, my 32-year-old, is my boss now. And she does that show. And then we have a show called Love of Your Bones that we do with Amgen, a partnership with Amgen. And then we have a show called Sambai Speaks, which is all about our research project.
Oh, fantastic.
In Africa, we've done 2 shows episodes. We have 21,000 views on that show already. So
love it.
People want to hear about it and talk about it.
It's time this went away. I don't want to read these statistics anymore.
I don't even know the same every year.
I'm tired of it.
I'm so tired of it. And I'm
Absolutely.
seeing my little baby breasties die,
It's just not acceptable in living in the age that we do. I always use the phrase, Ricki, we are here, you and I and others like us who have the passion for what we do for our people and people of color. We're here to comfort the afflicted, but afflict the comfortable. Okay.
I love that. I'm definitely comfortable.
Yeah. We want to disrupt. We want to be change agents, and we want to be at the table. Like Shirley Chisholm said, if there's no chair for you there, we want to bring in a folding chair. You can ban DEI, you can stop the programs, but we're not going to stop.
No, we are not. We are not. I am unstoppable, and I will go down fighting every day. And no is never the answer. It's always how. And I'm going to fight to the bitter end, right? Because people have to listen. And you know what? I do feel like people are listening to me.
They are listening. And because of your work, you're an inspiration. Your energy, your spirit, your passion, your compassion, and your empathy for those. And you've lived it. So it's not something that's very academic. It's real life to you. It's lived experience. And that's what the Kaleidoscope is about. I want to bring to the world at large people like you who are doing this because of sheer compassion and energy and knowing and not taking no for an answer.
Yeah, no is not the answer.
Well,
Yeah.
we honor you, and I'm so proud to know you, and so proud to be your friend. And you call me a badass, so we're both badasses, right?
We're both badasses. We are both badasses. We are both badasses. So happy to be with you.
No, thank you so much for your time. I know how incredibly busy you are this month, and I'm so happy you're able to take a few minutes to enlighten us, to inspire us, and to educate us.
All right. And you have to come on my show.
I have to come back and tell you about some of the things I'm doing in clinical trial diversity, because, and I end every show with, healthcare is not a privilege, it's a civil right. Quality, culturally competent, equitable healthcare is not a privilege, it's a civil right. So thank you, Ricki Fairley, and all the best to you, and Godspeed to touch.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been tuning into The Kaleidoscope, Healthcare in a Diverse America from Molecule to Market, with your host, Sheila Thorne. You can find more episodes on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, SheilaThorne.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.